was talking about my friend Jim, who was having a quiet moment on the dock. And when he came back, I questioned him, everything okay? And he said, I was just stretching my spirit. That short sentence changed my world. I've always felt reverential in nature, full of awe and gratitude, but stretching my spirit. I want to tell you a little bit about Jim. He's in his 70s, he's an outstanding photographer. And we've been taking pictures for a couple of days together of these incredible grizzly bears in the Khutzemateen. And he opened up and he said, you know, I've left my wife, Ellen, at home with her sisters. They're looking after her. She's not quite palliative, but she's pretty close to palliative. And I didn't think I could come on this trip, and then at the last minute, I was able to come. And I take some time every day to stretch my spirit, so I'm stronger for when I go back to see Ellen in her dying days. I want you to remember Jim and Ellen, because we're going to circle back to them. But first, let's unpack stretching our spirit for a moment. Some of you know I was an accomplished athlete 40 years ago, and I'm familiar with the need to stretch. When we do physical activity, really intense physical activity, and we get sore muscles, what happens is the very end of our muscle fibers actually get minuscule tears in them, and that's the pain that you feel. And after those tears heal, your muscle becomes a little bit longer and a little bit stronger. So that's why as an athlete, you're always trying to train to that place where you're just tearing those muscle fibers just a little bit, but not too much. So we stretch, so those muscles stretch so we don't rip them, we just gently tear them. So we know what it is to stretch physically. And we know the benefits of keeping the body active. We stretch to keep flexible and strong. But what about emotionally? I am stretching my emotions just giving this homily. The last is your long-serving administrator and sometimes director of congregational life. But I imagine you have been in situations like this, where you've been called to keep your emotions in check, maybe pushing them down instead of stretching them out. Should we grow and stretch our emotions? I think we should. I often hold back tears when we're singing because I find it so beautiful and emotional. And then writing this homily caused me to think, well, why do I do that? Is it because I feel vulnerable? Is it because I feel silly if I cry? Maybe next time I'm going to examine more closely why I'm tamping down those emotions. Maybe I'm going to stretch those emotions. Today I find myself in a place of the yin and yang, the grief of taking some time away from Capital, and the joy of all the history I've had with all of you, and then time to take more pictures of grizzly bears. It really is a yin and yang. So what does it mean to stretch our spirit? The next slide, please, Pedro. I was thinking a lot about when we sing Spirit of Life, and I found the words really interesting upon reflection. Our first line is, Spirit of Life, come unto me. What if we flip that around? What if we stretch out to find the Spirit of Life? Oh, that's not the one. Well, you know what the words are. We can go on to the next slide. Thanks, Pedro.
There we go.
There it is.
Oh, excellent. Good,
That
good,
was
good.
my fault. I put that other slide in the wrong place.
What were you saying about slides earlier, Dick? It's all good. It takes a village.
But you do.
Let's go on to the next slide, please, Pedro. Last year, I presented a homily about the spirituality of photographing grizzly bears in the Khutzemateen, where I've just been. Thanks to a comment that Jim made, I've woven that in to telling you a little bit more about how I stretched my spirit with these animals. I'd like to tell you a few stories about them. This is Marshmallow. This was a photo taken last year of Marshmallow. When this photo was taken, Marshmallow was 5 months old and had been abandoned by his mom, her mom, Hot Chocolate. What happens is when, yeah, hold on, let's go back to, yeah, we'll just stay there, that's perfect. When a mother is nursing a cub, it's a very dangerous time for the cub, and often the males will come and want to mate with mom, but mom can't mate because she's nursing. So, big battle, Rocky, now we can go to Rocky. Decided Rocky wanted to mate with Hot Chocolate, and tried to kill Marshmallow. And bless Hot Chocolate, the wonderful mom that she is, she fought back and saved Marshmallow's life, but they were separated. So that summer, Rocky and Hot Chocolate mated about 5 times. Rocky left. We all hoped that Marshmallow and Hot Chocolate would get back together because there's no way Marshmallow can make it through the winter on her own. And they never did. So the first thing I asked my friend, the guide, Andrew, when I got back there a few weeks ago, has anyone seen Marshmallow? No one's seen Marshmallow. Next slide, please. And we saw Marshmallow on our first day. Marshmallow miraculously had survived the winter. So we're celebrating that it's impossible that this tiny cub who hadn't been taught, so we don't know what happened, but Marshmallow survived. And then we came around the corner. Just 200 meters away was Hot Chocolate. And this was in the grass near Hot Chocolate. And at first we were, is it a rock? Is it a log? Next slide, please. It was a little tiny cub, 4 months old. That's the size of Marshmallow last year. So Hot Chocolate had had a cub with Rocky, next slide please, who started out being the shyest thing you've ever seen. Have we got the lights out? We got the lights out?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, just seems bright. And then became the biggest clown you have ever seen. Every time we came by, we'd stand up. I have a couple pictures of the cub waving at us. And next slide, please. We got to see this cub and mom every single day. Grizzly bears, there's a lot of mortality in grizzly bears. If you took 2 deers over 10 years, they would produce 1,000 deers to maturity. 2 grizzly bears over 10 years, they would produce 10 bears to maturity. So it's actually a good thing that this boat floats down because it ends up giving the female bears with the cubs a little protection because the males don't like the boat. And there's only one boat that goes down. So now I want to tell you a little story. I want to tell you a story about watching the bear's behavior. What do you think's happening in this slide if I told you that's a male and female bear? It looks like they're getting all snuggly, doesn't it? And that's how I saw this behavior last year. This is pre-mating behavior, and it also happens after mating. But then I started to wonder, am I anthropomorphizing the behavior of these bears? Maybe he is rubbing his cheek on her to put his scent there so other males will stay away. But there is a side of me that was going, oh. This was not so oh. And last year, I thought, this is her saying, no thank you, dear. But then I wondered, maybe this is part of mating behavior too. Next slide, please. This is mating behavior. The privilege of being 10 feet away from mating bears, I cannot express to you the beauty, I want to say tenderness, but it's an incredible sight, and how lucky am I to have seen it. I want to tell you a story about a bear called Blondie. This is a picture taken last year, and Blondie has 3 very mischievous cubs. It's very hard to take a picture of 3 cubs and an adult bear all with their heads up. Next picture, please. Cubs are interesting because they have a stripe on the back of their ears. Next slide, please. And they are cute as little buttons. They are the size of a small dog. They're about this big. Next slide, please. Yeah, let's keep it on that one for a moment. As soon as I got to the lodge, I said to Andrew, has anyone seen Blondie and her cubs? Because it's a big deal to make it through the winter with 3 cubs. Andrew tells me, we have some bad news about Blondie. At the end of the season, she broke her jaw and she was unable to eat. So there's no hope that Blondie made it through the winter, and there's probably no hope that her cubs made it either. And on our 3rd day, we were going along a headland and came round the corner. Next slide, please. And there was one of Blondie's cubs. And then we waited. Next slide, please. And there were 2 of her cubs that had survived. And it's more beautiful than that, because the cub that's coming down Oh, that's okay, that's fine. The cub that's coming down is a bigger cub than this closer one. Hard to tell in this photo. And the first cub would go up, and the second one would sit at the bottom and go, up, up. And the first one would come down and help it up the slope. It was so beautiful to see. Next slide, please. So Blondie, starving, would have had to carry on nursing her cubs, teach them how to fish for salmon, teach them about berries, perhaps even help them to den. Blondie did an extraordinary job with these cubs. After seeing Blondie's cubs, we were euphoric. And then after that day, Jim was sitting on the dock, and I went to sit with him as we were watching the sunset. And we were talking. And Jim said, "The story of Blondie has helped me understand and make peace with my wife's situation, that she won't be here for much longer. Blondie did what she needed to do. Starving and exhausted, she taught her cubs all the wisdom they needed to know to survive." Jim said that that's what Ellen's done too. They'd raised their children, who were all launched into the world. They had had a wonderful life. Ellen had done her job on this earth, and like Blondie, it was her time. We shed tears and contemplated how much the natural world had to teach us. If we were open to it, we could encourage each other and ourselves to stretch our spirits and help understand what we're witnessing. Is that behavior really cute and cuddly? Is there another reason for this behavior? So many ways to stretch our spirits. One day after we were heading back to our base after a wonderful afternoon, Andrew, our guide, had put the motor in reverse. Next, back to the video, please. Okay, maybe, yeah, that's perfect. We had to move out of the way of this. How lucky am I? That was summer, and she swam 8 feet from our boat. And then sometimes there are once-in-a-lifetime moments. For years, I've heard about photographers getting pictures of grizzly bears and lupins. Next slide when you can. And my dreams came true. So my friend, stretch your spirits this summer in every way that means to you. Stretch your intellect by coming to Capitol, by reading, by talking, by really thinking about the big issues. Stretch your emotions. Take yourself to a place you haven't been before. Be vulnerable. Let yourself cry. Let yourself smile. Stretch your heart and stretch your spirit. I know my spirit will be stretching until I see you all again. Love you all. Blessed be you. Yes.